So I've known Shveta and Talerang since the day, I guess since the early days. So it's lovely to be part of this program. Lovely to see all of you here. So I guess where I begin is just to share a little bit about what shaped me. Right? So I grew up in a small town, grew up in Mysore. So I had a very middle, I would say lower middle class upbringing. I was an engineer. I was a mechanical engineer. Then I became a software engineer when I started work. So I had no freaking clue what I was doing with my life. Yeah, I just followed the rat pack. I followed my friends. And one day, I became a software engineer. After 3.5 years of doing that, I looked at my boss one day. He was sleeping at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on his desk. And I said, I really do not want to be this person in 10 years from now. So I quit and I became a teacher at Teach for India in 2009. So I was part of the first batch. That's where Shveta and I met. I think that was probably the first time. That was at the age of 27. Okay, so all of you who are on the program, you're way ahead of me. So I'm really happy that you actually taking your life in your own hands so early. At 27, I decided to quit to become a teacher. I had 61 kids in my class. It was the most ridiculously difficult thing on the planet to do, but it was also the most enriching and fulfilling. Right? It was the first time that my head and my heart were one, and I think that principle is something that I really hold on to even now. Completely changed my life. Really got me to think about leadership. It unlocked a lot of my own leadership potential. Went on to working at Leaders Quest, which is a global not-for-profit, so it's a social enterprise, I would say, working with very senior business leaders to think about leadership and conscious leadership. So I did that for 10 years, ran the India business, and in the pandemic, I kind of decided to quit that and start my own organization at the age of 37. Okay, so at 37 I became an entrepreneur. So they say that age matters and so on, but I don't really think it does. But for a really long time I want to do something really good and meaningful and have impact. And I guess in the pandemic what I saw was the mental health crisis in the world, not just in India, just come up to the surface. Right? And for me, my own journey with mental health stuff, so just if you don't mind me sharing, I was diagnosed with having bipolar disorder in 2015. It's an intense mental health condition. It means, I've had my severe depression, went into the pits of depression, tried to come out of it, and the last 7 years I've been trying to figure out how to live life, be stable, have a unbelievable life, but also deal with my mental health stuff. And in the pandemic, what happened is I realized that there's so much external chaos that I wasn't able to travel. I had a kid who was running circles around me. It was ridiculously difficult. So externally there was lots of chaos, but internally I was quite stable. And I said, okay, that's interesting. And maybe there's an opportunity for me to create something which is a little bit more humane, a little bit more, I would say, different than what's out there. And that's how BecauseYOU started. So we started 18 months ago. It started as an idea that we need healing, whether you have a diagnosable mental health condition or you just start dealing with grief, burnout, stress, whatever the hell it is. Whatever we're dealing with, that distress comes in between us living our full life, our full potential. And my goal right now is to just clear out all the noise. Right? All of us are beautiful, all of us are wise, all of us are creative. Whether or not you have anxiety or depression or stress or whatever, we have access to unbelievable amounts of resources, wisdom, creativity, laughter, joy. And through BecauseYOU, what I'm trying to do is create the space for people to heal, people to really thrive, to find their own potential, and do it in groups. and in doing in communities, because that's how our ancestors did everything, in groups, and we've kind of forgotten that. So that's kind of what has shaped me. It's been an incredible journey. We work with individuals as well as organizations. You can check out stuff on my bio for all of that professional stuff, because that's kind of boring. But what I'd like to share with you are two main things. Okay, I'm just going to speak for 3 more minutes, and I'd like to open up for questions. One is I think after many years of figuring out life, I think there are 2 lessons that I really want to share. Right? One is balance is everything. Whether it's you're trying to balance, having a family with, or rather not having a family, everyone can have a family, like being really conscious about bringing up children in this world, having a partner, whatever it is, whether it's your boyfriend, girlfriend, partner thing, having a significant other, and balancing that with a high-flying career, ambition, money, whatever it is. It's a massive tension that all of us face in life, right? And it's something that needs to be harmonized. The balance between intuition, listening to our instinct. They say that intuition is our soul's guiding force. How do you balance intuition with data, right? People say, oh, you're so intuitive. Yes, I am intuitive. What's wrong with that, right? Can you balance intuition with using data and being really focused on listening to your customers, listening to people around you, listening to your family, whatever it is. There's so many things about balance, right? There are a million things about balance. So I think that's just a principle that I like all of you to hold, that anytime in life, you'll always feel that there are these 2 polarities, 2 paradoxes, and you have to make a choice between one and the other. The easy thing is to make a choice, but the more difficult thing, the more meaningful thing is to try and harmonize both of them. Can I have a family and have a career? Can I do both? Amazing. Can I balance my intuition and data? Yes, I can. These are the kinds of things that I think are really important, right? So balance is everything is my first life lesson. And the second one, actually I have 3 lessons. The second one is balancing the inner journey and the outer journey. So the inner journey is kind of understanding yourself, understanding what makes you tick, really loving yourself, understanding your self-worth, knowing that this is what makes me shine, whatever the hell it is. It could be meditation, yoga, it could be, coaching, whatever you need to really make yourself shine. That is the inner journey. The outer journey is the skills, right? The marketing, the branding, the sales. You start an organization, you want to do a million things. What I have learned is, as a CEO, the outer journey is usually the one that is, you don't have a choice. You have to be out there. You have to sell. You have to do stuff. But the inner journey is what really matters, And the important thing is to know that both are equally important. So it's like a race, like the outer journey is way out there and the inner journey is way out here. And it's kind of a dance between the 2. And when you go at it at the same, like there's nothing better than that. Okay, so balancing the inner and outer journey is my second point. And the third one is what we call networking. Right? It's got such horrible connotations. We are not good networkers. We don't like connecting to people. Unfortunately and fortunately, that's the most important thing in anyone's career. And when I think about networking, sorry, there are very loud aeroplanes flying above my head. When I think about networking, it means that can I bank on my goodwill with people that I have built relationships with in my life. So everything that I'm doing right now at BecauseYOU is because of a relationship that I've built in the last 15 years of my life. And there is no, there's this principle of do not negotiate against yourself. If you need something, you got to ask for it, otherwise you're never going to get it. Right? But it also means that you need to build a really good, solid, trusting relationship with someone before you can ask them for something. So those are my 3 lessons. Balance is everything. Balancing the inner and the outer journey, and building solid, meaningful relationships. Okay, I'm going to pause And I'd love to hear either a reflection, a question. You can put it in chat, or you can just unmute and ask me. Okay, go on, Anushka. I can see you.
Yes. So you have studied engineering and now you are into a business that works for mental health. So how was that transition like?
That's not an easy question, but it's a good question. I think it was really difficult because in the beginning I either had engineering or being a doctor when I was growing up. I did not have a beautiful Talerang program. I did not have mentors who really told me what to do. So I just went with the flow. I think in hindsight, it could almost look like what I studied and what I did in my previous life is useless, but actually it taught me really critical skills that I still use right now. I did 3.5 years of software development. I don't use anything in software right now, but what it did was instill in me the professional skills of delivering something on time, working with a team, working with global clients, understanding that I see there's a client, they need something, we need to get it done, and we need to work overnight to figure it out. Right? So every part of my journey, whether it was mechanical engineering, I don't use any freaking mechanical engineering in my life, but what it did is teach me the critical thinking skills. Right? So now when I'm thinking about launching a program, thinking about how do I bring in customers, thinking about connecting with an organization, like you need to think on your feet, right? And things like critical thinking skills and whatever you study will help you. So I don't know if that answers your question. But it's been difficult, and it's been, in hindsight, it kind of falls into place. But would I be different if I had a different career or a different education? I have no idea. Thanks, Anushka.
So, you were a software engineer for about 8.5 years. So, moving to an entirely different field, I understand the driving force here, but what were the few things that you had to face in reality, like the real life challenges when you actually ended a different field, and then how did you master expectations? How the reality.
Sorry, your voice is breaking. What? Just repeat your question, please.
So you were a software engineer for about 3 years, right?
Yes.
3.5 years. So, I understand the break of the point where you had to make a move, but how did you actually adjust your expectations with reality when you got to that situation? How did you actually take up that and then try to figure the outcomes from that?
You mean after I joined Teach for India, and how did I kind of deal with that change?
Correct.
To be honest, it was a complete leap of faith, right? At that time, it wasn't like I wanted to change the world. I just wanted something different. I think I realized that I had no other option but to show up fully when I stood in front of 61 kids. Right? There was no one else. It was just me and 61 kids, and you do not have a choice. Right? And then it suddenly stopped becoming about me, and it became about someone else. And I think that's an interesting principle generally. So right now the work that I do, obviously it's because I want to have a career, I want to make enough money for my family, all that stuff. But the reason I do what I do is because I can see that the shift in people that I work with. So it completely did not match any of my expectations. I had no idea what to expect. But when I was in front of 61 kids, actually it didn't matter, because it suddenly became about them and their life, and I could not screw up. I could not afford to screw up, right? So it just makes your focus so intense because it's no longer about you. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi, Shamin.
How are you?
Fantastic. 9 on 10.
Amazing. That's the best we can hope for.
Well, the best is 10, but yeah, we'll get there.
What I wanted to ask you was that in your current entrepreneurial journey, which has just started, I would say, it's only been 18 months, so it's still a baby. What are your main sort of challenges, and do you think they're different because of the space you are in?
What does that mean? Different because of the space I'm in?
So in general, entrepreneurs have challenges. Everyone has challenges in their business, and entrepreneurs would have similar challenges. But are your challenges different because you are in the mental health space, would you say?
That's a really, really good question. Thank you for asking that. I think yes, because what I'm trying to do is show people that people with mental health conditions can thrive.
Yes.
Right? That's my goal. And to do that, I need to thrive. And that pressure is incredibly high. It's not a heavy pressure, but it's there at the back of my mind that if I fail, if I tomorrow go into an intense depression and I'm not able to get out for 6 months, because you was done, right? So that's my own personal, I would say, challenge. Yes. I think all of us entrepreneurs have intense challenges. The mental health space right now is booming because clearly there's a need. The challenge is that there is a lot of noise in the sector, right? There are a million apps out there. There are a million, it's so siloed. The demand supply gap is huge.
Yes.
So it's very easy to get bogged down by the enormity of what there is to do, right? Because this is not an India problem. This is a global, every single citizen of the planet. We are dealing, if you have a brain, you're dealing with something, right now. So if you take that on as that can be either crippling, as this is way too big for me, one person to do this, especially one who's been diagnosed with a fairly severe mental health condition, or you can flip the narrative and say, listen, that is the opportunity, and I don't have to do this alone. There are thousands of us entrepreneurs, there are hundreds of us entrepreneurs in the mental health space. What we are good at is what we need to focus on. So yes, it's incredibly challenging, and I always like to kind of flip the narrative around.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for answering that.
Thanks for asking.
This is Lakshya.
Hey Lakshya, tell me.
What was the inspiration behind the brand name? BecauseYOU.
Love it. So I started BecauseYOU. There's something called a lean stack framework, which is very cool if you're starting an organization. Definitely check it out. There's a guy called Ash Maurya who started it. And what it says is that you launch quickly and then iterate and just keep iterating. Yeah. In the mental health space, you got to do that really, really carefully because you don't want to put out a product that will screw up people's lives. But what it meant was that we started, my business partner and I met in September of 2020. By end of October, we had launched our first program. Why I'm telling you that story is because it went really, really fast. So I woke up one day and I asked my wife, what do you think we should call ourselves? And she thought about it a little bit and she said, BecauseYOU. And then I was like, that's interesting. And then we talked a little bit more about it, and then it just stuck. Why, you always think, why is this happening to me? Because there's something beautiful in you, there's something incredible in you. I really think that if you go through a mental health issue, it unlocks your consciousness. That's a whole different topic we can talk about. But BecauseYOU is the focus on you as a person. There's something beautiful that is waiting to be unlocked. All it takes is some time and effort. So BecauseYOU.
With your company BecauseYOU?
Yeah, thanks for asking that. So right now what we're looking at doing is we're creating a B2C model, which is a business to customer model. So with individuals, we're looking to create high quality programs with facilitators, therapists globally, where one of the biggest issues in the mental health sector is everything is siloed. People do not work together, right? And my background is really working together with people who don't work together. So what I've been trying to do over the last 18 months is work together with people who don't work together. So on one hand, what we're doing is creating products. We're starting our first official product we have one product in play for the last 18 months. There's another one which we're launching in July, which is called somatic healing. It's a relationship between the body and mental health. And that is a pilot that we're doing with one facilitator who's amazing. She has her own organization. So it's a revenue share with that person, and that model will then spin off into many other relationships like that. So imagine like 2-3 years from now, we'll have multiple different products like this doing interesting stuff in the leadership and the mental health space, and in partnership with others. So that's a B2C model, and it can go to scale globally. Anyone can join because it's mostly online. With organizations, what we're doing is working on a multi-year contract basis where we work with only 2 or 3 organizations in a year, where the focus is shifting cultures. How do you as an organization create the right culture for your employees to really thrive? Right? So that's a long-term piece of work, which is why we just do 2 or 3 in a year. So that's the kind of goal that we have. So one is a B2C with partnerships, and one is the organizations.
In the given rat race, and we all forget in the daily grind how important and necessary it is, and how difficult it can be to strike a balance. I think that really stuck with me.
Thanks, Aishwarya. Flipping the narrative, that's a game changer. Yeah, Shamin, thank you. Anyone else? Future CEOs, come on.
I think you mentioned something about it's only when you're in your darkest time, when you hit with something mentally, that you discover something really beautiful about yourself. I went through that something similar around the pandemic, and that really resonated with me. Right? Part of the reason why I'm sitting here today is just because of that.
Yeah, and thank you for going through the grind and getting out of that hole. It could be small holes, big holes, but when you get out of the hole, it's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. Lovely. So thank you so much for inviting me. I know this was a really short burst, but I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed your questions and your presence. You can follow our work through my LinkedIn page, through our website. I'll put it in the in chat. Feel free to reach out for anything. Yeah, I'm putting in my email ID as well. Feel free to reach out for anything. We've got actually the first intern that we had who helped me build BecauseYOU was from Talerang. So I have very, very fond memories, and very grateful to Talerang for all that you do. Okay, so good luck on your journey, and feel free to reach out anytime.